Who wants to start?
I guess I know we're at Basketball Media Days, Josh, but I'm just curious if you've heard anything on the House settlement, the timeline, and how you guys are kind of navigating what may still be a little uncertain.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything. As everybody knows, the judge has a new set of briefs that we submitted, I think, at the end of last week. And so one thing I do know is you don't really tell a federal judge what to do. So she's on her own timeline, and we'll see if she wants to make a decision on the briefs that she now has received, or if she wants to schedule another hearing. But we don't have any sense of when that'll happen.
Keep your coaches kind of as informed as possible, and how do you approach still some question marks out there?
It's a fascinating time, and so we just try and develop a plan, have a lot of contingencies in place. We try and communicate and be transparent with our staff, with our coaches, with our student athletes to the extent we can, but with all the necessary caveats that, look, this is what we know right now, this is the direction we think we're going to be able to go, but here are some of the things that could still happen that would change that. And so I give a lot of credit to our staff, to our coaches. Everybody's living in a very fluid space right now, and so everyone's had to remain very flexible and patient, which is not something that we naturally do.
I guess from a basketball standpoint, one kick second in the Big Ten preseason poll, season tickets sold out, student season tickets sold out. Just where do you kind of see where the program sits as Brad enters the year?
This is what, you're 7, 8? Really proud of where the basketball program stands. Obviously, it's been an exciting run for us these last handful of years, and for us to be able to do what we did last year to win the Big Ten tournament, to get deep into the NCAA tournament, and to see the results on the court, but then also just the enthusiasm, as you mentioned, our fans away from the court, the following that this program generates not only at home, but as we travel around and have a chance to play on the road. I thought that the turnout for the NCAA tournament games was incredible. It just really, I think, speaks to the power of Illinois basketball and the opportunity that we have to continue to advance that program. And really excited about the group that we have together this year. Grateful to Brad for his continued leadership, and looking forward to another exciting year.
Coach Underwood talked about the early exits, and he said that was more of the media-driven concern, not a concern of the program. Is that how you kind of viewed it, and over the past couple of years?
I've said this several times. I think the NCAA tournament is a unique animal. You look at what some of our professional counterparts do. They don't play the one-and-done tournaments because the objective is to try and find the best team. The NCAA tournament it's a television phenomenon, right? It's an incredible sporting event. It's unlike anything else that we do here in the United States. And so for us, we just want to keep getting back into that tournament. We want to keep getting back there, having great regular seasons so that we can put ourselves in the best position we possibly can through the seeding process. And every once in a while, if you're able to do that, you're gonna catch it. And we caught it last year. We got to the Elite Eight, and feel like that's something that we can do with greater regularity now that our guys are accustomed to that tournament. They've been a part of it. They understand the sudden end that comes if you pick a bad day to have a bad day, and so we're really excited about where we're headed.
Tony talked a little bit today about the meeting he's going to have next week with Greg Sankey in Nashville. Are you encouraged about what could come of that in future months leading in, and maybe a scheduling agreement with a power league like that, and in multiple sports, not just football, men's basketball, or multiple sports?
Yeah, I think that I'm excited about the meeting. It'll be interesting for me. Just I obviously have spent a lot of time in our Big Ten athletic director room. Know a lot of the guys in the SEC on an individual basis, but just to have them in the same space and to see their dynamic, to hear some of their thoughts, as someone who thinks as critically and deeply about college athletics as I do. I always just love gathering perspective and hearing different opinions. And so I think selfishly, personally, that's probably the thing that I'm most looking forward to next week. I think as an industry, college athletics is in a bit of a logjam. There's things that we need to do differently, but our system isn't built for meaningful change. And so if there's a necessity or an opportunity for a couple organizations, in this case 2 conferences, to come together and and help lead some of that change, then I think that could be a positive step for the entire ecosystem of college sports.
Are you in the camp that there has to be uniformity between the two leagues for things to get done, or do you think that both of them can operate the way they have been and still kind of have a partnership?
I think it depends on the issue. I think there's so many different issues that face college sports. There are some where I think it would be almost necessary to have uniformity. I think there are other things where we can be more autonomous in how we operate. So it just depends, I think, on the topic.
I feel like you can still do it in your role to really keep pushing success for basketball. What more do you feel like can be given?
Well, I think we just have to continue to consistently evaluate the season that we just had and look for ways to grow and improve. We're always benchmarking against other programs. We're always looking to see what other places are doing and how that perhaps puts them in an advantageous position. And so I don't have anything concrete to point to and say, well, here are the 4 or 5 things that we still need to do, other than to say we're in a constant state of evaluation. We're always looking for places that we can gain an edge, and those are conversations that Brad and I have on a regular basis.
The last few months told you about this $22 million that you guys as a department will have to find, and how's that progress there in terms of finding that money?
It's ongoing. I give our staff a lot of credit. We put a lot of thought into, again, how we can do 2 things, right? There's 2 ways to get there. You can either make more money or you can spend your money differently. And we're working very aggressively on both of those fronts to put ourselves in a position to fully participate in the revenue share when it opens up next year, again, assuming the judge supports the settlement. And so no real concrete things to share, but the conversations have been very productive, and we're optimistic that we'll be where we need to be.
Josh, what's the importance of football and the crowds that you guys are seeing this year? How big of a role does that play in that particular round?
It's a big part, and certainly on the revenue generation side, the more people that we can get through the turnstiles, the more people we can get in the stands, buying our concessions, buying apparel, paying for parking, all the things that come with being a part of our program on an active basis makes a big difference. And so for us to have the season we're having, to be able to generate, the fan interest is a really important part to our overall strategy, and has been for a long time, and is a critical element to our long-term financial health and the advancement of the business of Illinois athletics.
There was a story out of Tennessee, I think, referred to a talent tax, basically ticket increase to help raise funds for what we're talking about. What's your position on passing something that's to the fans, ticket prices?
I don't know that I have a particular position on it. I think that, as with everything we're doing right now, I would never rule anything out. And I think that we're putting all the options on the table to try and figure out the best combination of variables that we can pull together to make sure that the finances work for our athletic program. And so every place is going to make their own decisions, and obviously I saw the news out of Tennessee, and that makes sense for Tennessee. I don't know that we would do that at Illinois, but I also don't know that we wouldn't. I think that at this point in time, for me to close the door on anything would be premature, and so we'll just continue to evaluate all the different options and see what makes the most sense. But we know we have an obligation to try and find that $22 million, and we're going to continue to turn over every rock we can to identify where it might come from.
There are no plans right now to do that, though?
We have no plans for that right now.
Hey, Josh, you have a lot of scholarship numbers changes in what they allow in the NCAA roster sizes, and a lot of, especially the minor sport. Have you guys addressed that as an institution, or will that be like a conference decision, how many you add in, whether it's baseball, softball, whatever, in minor sports?
My understanding of the settlement is that most of those decisions are going to be pushed down to the school levels, and so those are autonomous choices that each institution will be in a position to make, and I think it's really a fascinating opportunity because it opens up a lot of variability in terms of giving schools optionality around developing their own strategy and how that strategy aligns with different sport programs under their umbrella. And so we do expect to be in that position to make some of those decisions around how to support some of our different sport programs and hopefully put them in a position to be competitive going forward.
Do you anticipate funding 105 football scholarships?
I don't think that we'll be at the 105 level, but I also will tell you from the conversations I've had that I've not heard from one school that is planning to be at the 105 level, and so I don't think that would make us an outlier.
Is there that chance that we can have from the AP basketball polls? If there's going to have football, women's basketball, and women's basketball, essentially ranked all at the same time, and that would be a first in a while. Just what could that just mean for the perception of Illinois athletics as a whole?
It certainly doesn't mean we've arrived, but it might mean that we've made some really good progress, and I would be really proud of that if that's able to happen. Something that certainly 9 years ago when I came here, we were a long way from that, and if you'd said 9 years later that we were going to have a chance to have all three of those programs ranked in the top 25, that would have felt like a really meaningful achievement, and so again, we've got a long way to go. We're not satisfied in any sense in any of those three sports, but if we can get to that point, I think it does acknowledge in some public way that we've made meaningful progress, and there's so many people to thank for that, and I just can't begin to even go down the list, but I think about in particular a lot of donors, people who have stepped forward and taken meetings with us, made gifts to us at moments where we were not the most popular meeting to take, and I say that to them every opportunity I get, and to our fans who continue to buy tickets when it wasn't that hard to get an Illinois ticket to an event, and so there are a lot of people who have stayed the course with us and who have believed in us when we were not the most popular kid at the dance, and now to be where we are and to have some momentum. I hope everybody takes incredible pride in some ownership in the role that they have played to help us get here, because it has been a long journey. We have a long way to go yet, but it's something that wouldn't have happened without the work and support and commitment of literally thousands of people, and I'm just really grateful for that.
With a
There's been a staff shift with Brad's staff and Tim, the indefinite leave. Was that a surprise regarding the timing, and what's your reaction to that development?
First and foremost, we just care about Tim Anderson, and Tim has been an incredible ally and asset to this athletic program for years now, and came here and clearly left a mark on this program, and so it was, in those situations you can't predict timing on those sorts of developments, but your first and foremost concern, really your only concern, is with the staff member, and so our thoughts are with Tim, and we want to make sure that he's got the time and the space that he needs to do the things that he needs to prioritize in his life right now.
Your roundtable, you talked about an extension with Shauna, maybe kind of on the horizon. What's the status of that?
Yeah, I hope to have something to announce on that front in the not too distant future.
What has she meant for this program for you guys?
She's been incredible. It's really been a joy to watch the way she works, the way she leads. She has a very strong vision for where this program can go, and a high standard and an expectation that is really now felt throughout the entirety, I would say not even only our women's basketball program, but of our entire athletics program. I'm fortunate to be able to work with her on a regular basis. I do a lot of meetings with recruits when they come onto campus, and to see the caliber of the student athletes she's bringing here, to listen to the way they talk about their experience playing for her, it's really rewarding just to see the progress that we've made, and know again that we're just getting started with what's possible with that program.
With apologies that I'm not familiar with the legislative calendar in Springfield, Josh, do you feel like the tweaks to the Illinois NIL bill can happen before the end of the year, or do you think that will be a longer process?
No, those have already been signed by the governor. I think the effective date is sometime this fall, or maybe the first of the year.
Okay.
So that package has gone through the legislative process already and has been finalized.
Do you feel like what has been signed by Governor Pritzker puts you at a more advantageous position than before, comparatively, like to your neighboring states that have already gotten something done?
I don't know as much about what the neighboring states have, but I do feel good about what the package contains. I think it's helpful for us, and I think it puts us in a strong position to continue to do the things that we feel like we need to do for our student athletes.
Josh, been reported for the men's basketball staff, the extension and raises. Are you able to comment on that as far as that process or whether that is done?
Yeah, nothing yet. At the right time, those things will be made public. But again, just really grateful for the staff that we have and excited for their continued leadership.
Stands out to you about the way this football team has started and how Brad has things going this year in particular?
It's been a great start. Obviously, we're excited about the way the program is headed. Give a lot of credit, of course, first and foremost to coach and to the staff. They have, coming off of last season, really taken the time to evaluate everything that we do as a football program and have made, I think, really thoughtful, helpful adjustments and tweaks to everything that's connected to Illinois football. But then also to our players. I really admire the way they prepare. They seem to genuinely enjoy each other, which I think is a really critical part of successful sports, especially at this level. And they have really embraced the moment. They've risen to the challenge. They're playing with a lot of confidence right now. That's something that I think a lot of times gets underestimated in athletics, is just the value of confidence and connectedness. And I think our guys have a lot of both of those things at the moment. And so it's been fun to be a part of it. And obviously we've got a week here to catch our breath, but then we'll get back at it, and things don't get any easier for us. This conference is it's a big animal now in all of our sports, and certainly in football. And look forward to see what we can do with the rest of the season.
Josh, when you purchased and transformed the Atkins facility, did you think it would get a regional this fast, or because I know Mike was cautiously optimistic, but not real optimistic that it would happen this fast?
We certainly hoped to.
Right.
We didn't know. I was confident we would get NCAA regional play. I didn't know how quickly that would happen. And a lot of that also just has to do with the calendar and when
Sure.
they open up the bidding windows. But for us to be able to do that, I think is a great testament to the work that we've done out there. Again, we've been incredibly we've benefited from the incredible generosity of course, the Atkins family. We've had several donors who have stepped up to help us remake that facility. It's been just a great story, I think, for what this program can do to help solidify a part of our community that needed, I think, an anchor, and for us to be there and put the block eye out, I think, has really helped Southeast Urbana. But just as importantly for our golf program to have a championship caliber home to be able to play on a regular basis, and now to be able to host the regional is something that we're all really proud of, and looking forward to having them here in a year.